So what are we doing in today's episode then? Well, I keep tripping over all the door cards from the van. I want to just put them on and get them out of the way. So before I do that, obviously there's wear and tear on the door cards. So I didn't want to just put them on as they were. So I thought, right, well, what can I do to tidy them up? So I thought, right, I can either retrim them. Decided against retrimming them because obviously, like the front door cards, they come down quite low and they'd end up getting wet. So, you don't want that. So I thought, right, well, what can I do instead? I can paint them. And what am I going to paint them in?
Gee, let me think.
You guessed it. We can do Raptor on them.
It's all so predictable. There's no element of surprise.
It's getting a bit ridiculous now, isn't it? What I'm going to do is paint them in the same colour as the mountains that are on the outside, because it's near as damn it to the actual colour of them anyway. Before I can get the Raptor on there, I have to sand them all down, because otherwise they'll flake off. Sand them down with 180 grit with the sander, and then any bits that I can't get with the sander I'll do by hand. That's all the interior door cards sanded down. So we've got the two back door ones there. Big one by here is the side door, and then we got the two front doors there, and then don't forget there for the what they call the check straps on the rear doors. So now what we need to do is just blow them off with the airline, get rid of any dust particles, and they're ready for paint. First thing I'll put on is some plastic adhesion promoter, just to give it every chance of sticking, although sanding down with 180 grit, that's plenty anyway, but it doesn't hurt to spray some of that on. So I painted them yesterday and they've had overnight to dry. I've left these areas bare as one of the next step is to retrim them in the same fabric as I'm going to use in the camper part of the van. Should make it look a little bit better to look at and to nicer for your arm to rest up against. So my idea for that is to make a template and give that to an upholsterer I know, and then from the template they can then cut the fabric and give it a hem all the way around by stitching it so it won't fray, and then theoretically then I can just glue it straight onto the door card. So this is the cloth I've ordered. It's kind of like a tweed fabric. I've seen people in America call it marathon fabric. I think, I have no idea why, but it's like a woven material. That's what's gonna go on the door cards, and then I'm gonna fit it all inside the back of the van as well. Right then, now to sort out my idea of putting upholstery on this section of the door card. So what I need to do first is take a template of it. So I'm just gonna... So that's where I ramble on for another 5 minutes. That's just in footage. Obviously in real life that took way longer. Making templates and blah 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 blah. Only to give it to an upholsterer to have this rubbish sent back to me. So I wanted to stick these on there, and I gave them perfect templates, and well, I'm no upholsterer, but I think I could have done a better job than this. I mean, it doesn't even fit. So that's up against the line at the bottom. Well, ish. And then at the top, yeah, then it doesn't meet at all. So if I go like that, well, we got what is that? It's covering the entire handle. And then, yeah, you got a big gap. And it's all like pointy edges and they're all fraying on the, like that there. Rubbish. So there goes that idea. Well, plan B in operation. So what I'm gonna do is tape all this up now and then lay a layer of fiberglass onto it. Wait for that to go off. Tomorrow then, peel it off, trim it to shape, and then I've got a nice little panel to fit onto the door card there, and I can stick the fabric to that panel. And then once it's glued on, I'll wait another day then, obviously cut the fabric a little bit bigger than the fiberglass panel, and then once it's stuck down and dry onto that, I will then turn over the excess and stick it to the back then, so it doesn't fray and you can't see the edge of the fabric. So that's the plan. So first job, I'm gonna tape it all up. It'd be far easier if I had some 2-inch tape, but I forgot to get some this morning. The reason we gotta tape it all up is so that the fiberglass doesn't stick to it. That's them all masked up now. And yeah, I can hear you saying it. Should have used some 2-inch tape. But yeah, just put some old masking paper around the edge, just to stop any splatter. You have to excuse me, it's like, what is it, 2nd of January, and we've already had about 10 storms this year already, and so the roller shutter door there is making a racket. So what we gotta do next is cut a bit of the fiberglass. I'll cut it to roughly the size first and then trim it up. Got them cut to shape now, both left and right. So we got them placed where we want them, and now gonna mix up some polyester resin and brush it on. Normally I brush it on with a paintbrush, but someone recommended to me to use a kitchen what was it, a basting brush or something? So these bristles are silicone. Apparently it doesn't stick in the resin, so I'm going to give it a go. Whether it works or not, we might get some silicone bristles stuck in it now. Okay, so this stuff, 2 mil of hardener per 100 mil of resin. So we've got 200 mil of resin there, so that should be 4 mil of hardener, so that's about roughly it. And then stir it up, see if this works. Well, it's not the best at stippling action. And I've only used 1 layer of fiberglass matting on this because I don't want it to be really thick, a really thick panel. It is, I think it's 450 grams fiberglass matting. So it is quite a thick one.
That's what she said.
I think that's just about wetted out. Get my roller and that gets the air bubbles out then and make sure it's nice and flat. So I'll leave them overnight to dry. It did start to lift up on the edges there where this upturn is on the door card, forcing air behind it, but I'm not really too fussed on that. I'm not worried because these will get trimmed down smaller than the actual recess of the door card because I gotta allow room for the fabric to go over it. Okay, so I've come in the next day and the fiberglass is now dry. So next step is to take all the masking paper and some of the tape around it and then try and get those bits off in one piece. Fingers crossed. Just want to see as well whether this works, because like I said, someone recommended me to use this basting brush and said you can leave the resin to go hard with the brush in it and the brush will just pull out of it because apparently the resin won't stick to silicone. So let's see let's see if that's true or not. Oh wow, I didn't expect that. I thought I was gonna snap off and break and everything then, but it just pulled off. Top tip for fiberglass people. I might look for another one though, because this wasn't very stiff one, so maybe I can get a stiffer one. Comes off. There we go. And the next one. I mean, in hindsight, if I had known the upholsterer was going to do such a rubbish job, then I wouldn't have raptored the door cards first. I would have done these fiberglass panels first, because obviously now I've run the risk of damaging the Raptor by putting the fiberglass on there. And Raptor is actually meant to be chemical proof, but from having these fiberglass panels set in overnight, where I've got the overspray on the areas of the door cards where I'm going to be putting these panels, it started to eat away at the overspray, which is surprising. But now we gotta remove all the rest of the tape off the fiberglass panels and trim them up. Once all the tape has been removed, what you might find is that they are still quite, well, not quite, but very sticky. I don't really know the reason for that. All you have to do is just let them air out, basically. Since I took the tape off, these have been drying for about, I think, half an hour. Yeah, it doesn't take long. Before it was like flypaper. But yeah, they're all dry now. So now we gotta trim them up. So I'm gonna use a cut-off wheel. You could also use a reciprocating saw, but the main thing to remember, whatever you use, get the ear defenders on, get the goggles on, most importantly get the mask on, because fiberglass dust is really bad for you. Pretty much how I want them. So I've trimmed them back a little bit away from the recess, and a little bit away from the handle there. And now what I'm going to do is just tidy the edge up a bit with a bit of 80 grit, so that there's no strands of fiberglass sticking off, so it can go in your hands or anything. That's them all sanded down now. I've also run over the face a sander, DA, 80 grit again, because inevitably when you're using fiberglass, you're gonna get strands of fiberglass sticking up. So if you were to lay the cloth or the fabric over that, then it's gonna stick up. Blew the dust off then, and then we're ready for fabric now. Because this has an orientation to it, I've positioned how I want it for the panel, and then I'll make sure when I do the other one, and I'll slide it across and mirror that by there. I hope that goes to plan. I'm just gonna cut it bigger than the panel at the moment. I'm just going to stick it down today on the surface, and then tomorrow I'm going to take care of what overlaps onto this side, and I'll trim the excess off. So that's that one. And then this one like that. I got my spray adhesive. It says spray on both surfaces for best results, and it says to leave it to go tacky first. So I'm not sure how long that takes.
Get out of the way!
Oops. Not sure how long to leave that, but I might give it a minute or two. Just in the process of flipping it over, and then smoothing it down onto the surface. Make sure there's no creases or lumps and bumps in it. Do it again on this one. Make sure to double check before you're doing that there's no glue over your hands. While I'm waiting for them to dry overnight, it occurred to me that we've got all this insulation in here, and where is the key areas that we're going to get heat loss? So obviously through the glass, but there's two other quite big areas, and that's the front doors. And obviously you can't put insulation inside the front doors because it'll get wet, because the water comes down the glass and is actually designed to flow past the weather seal there. Well, a little bit anyway. And then that's why you have holes at the bottom of the door to let the water back out again. So obviously you put insulation in there, and yeah, it'll get wet. So how can we insulate the front doors then? Well, I thought, why not put it on the door cards? So I know it's not the whole door card done, and we got, I don't know exactly what this does here, so I couldn't really put any on there, but took the biggest area and then two other little areas there and fit some leftover the closed cell foam insulation on there. So I've done that one as well. So better than nothing, innit? It's the next day. I've come in and they're all nicely stuck to the panels that I've made. So now we need to trim off the excess and stick the remainder over the edge of the fiberglass panel, so that it gives a nice edge to the panel and it doesn't fray. I think I'll leave about an inch around it. Now that they're cut, we want to turn all this over. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do relief cuts or not. I think I'm going to try it without, so it doesn't cause fraying. We just want to stick the glue all around the edges, being careful not to get it on that side, and yeah, then stick it over. So here goes. Hold on to your butts. Just pulling it taut and just letting it crinkle up. I'm not sticking it every part of it down yet. I'll come to that later. So far so good. Sticks well, this glue. I think I'm going to have to do a cut by here though, where the points are. Okay, now just flatten them off a bit, I suppose. I am happy with that. I might, once it's dry tomorrow, I might see if I can cut some of these folds down with a scalpel maybe. See how I can get them a little bit better so it doesn't make the panel protrude off the door card too much. But yeah, that side, I'm really happy with that. Hope they look good once they're fitted on the door cards. So right, let's do the other one. That's both of them done. I'll let the glue dry. I'm not sure how long it takes to dry, so whether I get to fit them today on the door cards or whether it be tomorrow, I'm not sure yet. Now some people might say, well, why ain't you using that 4-way stretch stuff? Well, yeah, I could have, but this is just my opinion now. How can I say this in the best way? I don't like the look of it, to be honest. It reminds me too much of subwoofer enclosures. Yeah, it's probably the easiest stuff to use. I won't deny that, but it looks like everyone else's campervan then. There's no difference, and I don't like the feel of it, and yeah. So I've gone for this tweed stuff. I ended up just leaving the glue to dry overnight in the end, because I was actually working on other stuff on the van. And like I said, the where I glued it and the folds and the cloth on the back, I've just cut them all with a blade, put a new blade in it, and just cut along the length of them, unfolded the pleat, and then cut again to cut the pleat out of it, and then just stuck them all down flat. So it's much nicer now on the back and shouldn't foul on the door card, making this stick out further than it needs to be. So the next thing we need to do is fit them on the door cards. I don't think the upholstery glue is going to cut it for that, because the carpet there is going to push it away. The spray-on glue is really thin, so it probably wouldn't end up touching the door card. So I'm just going to use PU sealer, and hopefully that should work. So you can see there basically what it's going to look like. And now I'll put beader sealer all the way around the edge, and probably a squiggle in the middle, and then press it on and tape it on and leave it overnight. The overspray on the door cards of the Raptor, once it dried, well, once the air got to it, it went back hard again. So it must just not have liked the resin sitting on it. It just softened it up. This should give it extra protection of coming unstuck as well, theoretically. And it's a Friday, and I'm using sealer, and I ain't got gloves on again. One day I'll learn. Leave them to dry overnight, and fingers crossed they stay in position until the morning, and then I'll fit the door cards back on and then reveal the finished product. Sealer should have dried overnight, so we can take this masking tape off. I'm not sure we're doing a lot anyway, but just still. Right, well they're not coming off. Not sure whether I should have maybe used Velcro or something, and then I can remove them, and maybe if I needed to retrim them again I could easily remove them. Oh well, they're on now. Next step, fit them on the van. Right, you ready to see them all fitted? Here we go. So there's the back door ones and the other one on that side. I got a new handle to go on that as well because it was absolutely battered. These poppers that go in here are notorious for breaking, so I've ordered some new ones of them. I'll pop them in the description. And then the best bit to last. Drum roll. Look at them. Really happy with how they turned out. Feel really nice as well. And yeah, I think they do just the job. Set it off nicely, update it a bit, make it a bit more professional and, I'm not going to say luxurious, but less like a builder's van, shall we say. So we got rid of all the marks and all the like the shiny wear that was occurred on them over the years. With the new coating of Raptor, and then obviously we've made a panel out of fiberglass to glue onto there, and then covered it in the cloth. And then there's the other one over there. These door cards are a bit of a bugger to fit and line up, and the poppers that Renault and Vauxhall put on them, they're not the best design. It's like a two-part one. One part goes into the door and one part stays in the door card. If you get it not lined up right, then you go to bash it on and it snaps it shatters the poppers. If you order new ones, I'll pop a link in the description for them as well. It's best to assemble them as a one-piece popper, because there's two pieces. Assemble them as one and then place them into the door card and then pop it on. Is far easier. You won't waste any that way. So I hope you like what I did with the door cards, all 5 of them. I know I'm happy with them. They look much better. If you've got any questions on what I did throughout the video, then pop it in the comments. As always, if you're not subscribing, click on the subscribe button, help a brother out. It'll keep you up to date on the progress of the van. Check out on the Instagram as well for any updates on there too. And I think that's about it for now. These next videos now will all be concentrating on the interior of the van, so should be good. So thank you very much for watching, really appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next one.